Hey guys, Coach Mike here at Esmarca with episode 10 of Mob of the Week. Today's episode is all about low back pain. Now, we've probably all suffered from some level of low back pain at some point in time, and maybe you're dealing with that right now. Typically, this is going to happen for one of two reasons. Perhaps you find yourself sedentary, sitting in a poor position over extended periods of time, or maybe you found yourself in a compromised position under load or during an intense activity, exercising or doing a race. Either way, we're going to give you some tools today to address those two issues specifically. Now, when dealing with any mobility system, we want to remember one of the key rules that we talked about in episode 1, which is continue to work upstream and downstream. So although you may be experiencing low back pain today, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're dealing with an injury in the lower back area. It could be issues in the mid to upper back, or it could be issues in the lower extremities. So I will urge you to go back and watch the last 3 episodes we recorded on spinal gapping and thoracic spine mobility to work upstream, and then continue watching this series in the following weeks to learn how to open up the hips and treat the glutes and hamstrings, because those could be the culprit as well. But for today, I've got 4 techniques for you. Let's get right down to it. The first 2 techniques we're going to show you deal with sitting in a bad position for extended periods of time. So typically what's going to happen is your pelvis or your SI joint is just going to get out of alignment. So I'm going to show you techniques on how to correct it, starting with adjusting the pelvis. So what we're going to do is we're going to lay down on our back, and we're going to create a push-pull with the legs. So I'm going to put my right hand behind my right hamstring, and I'm going to pull my leg in as I push my leg out. So I've got a push-pull force. I'm going to put my left hand in front of my left knee. I'm going to drive my knee towards me as I try to push it away. All right, so what we're doing is I've got to push and pull, shearing opposing forces. All right, again, whatever my arm's doing, my leg is doing opposite. So I'm pushing my leg south and I'm pulling it north, and I'm trying to push my knee away from me as I pull my knees towards me. All right, so push-pull forces. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do about 3 to 5 seconds. I would say about 5 seconds, and do about 3 to 5 sets of that. Okay, and then relax about 5 seconds. And you're going to repeat that a few times. And then once you've done that for a few cycles, we're going to go ahead and put a medicine ball between the knees and squeeze and hold for 3 to 5 seconds, and do that for another 3 to 5 sets. That looks like this. Taking your medicine ball, putting it up between the knees, and then squeezing, contracting those adductors as hard as you can. Hold it for about 5 seconds, and then relax. And then squeeze, and then relax. And if you go through this entire cycle, meaning we're doing our push-pull shearing forces, about 5 seconds each for 3 to 5 sets, maybe more if that's necessary, and then switching to our contraction for 3 to 5 seconds, about 3 to 5 sets, you may notice a pop or a clunk in your pelvis, in your hips, and that means you've reset things back into alignment. So that's the first technique for today, resetting the pelvis. The second technique deals with realigning the SI joint, which is in the lower back. So what we're going to do is we're going to lay back, and we're going to pick a side, and we're going to drop it into a free hang. So you need to find a surface that's high enough that you can let your leg hang to the side, and you can actually let gravity work towards your benefit. Now this bench, as short as I am, might even not be quite high enough for me, but for demonstration purposes, you'll get the idea. If you have a massage or a chiropractic table, or even just a high bed, that actually might work even better for you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down all the way on my bench, drop one side down, and pull the other knee into my chest, okay? So just like we had shearing forces on the ground for the previous demonstration, I will be pulling this side of my hips up to bring that SI joint up, and I'm allowing gravity to pull the weight of my leg down to get those opposing forces. Now this is one because there's no added weight, there's no added force, there's no banded distraction. You actually need to hold this for about a minute and you have to focus on relaxing and letting your body let go. Give into the stretch, hold it for about a minute per, and then go ahead and switch sides. Those last 2 techniques are great if it's just a matter of alignment and you have to reset some things. However, if you actually did some soft tissue damage and things are starting to get matted up, knotted down, you need to get in there with a mobility tool and do some work. So our next 2 techniques, one is going to be with the foam roller and one is going to be with the lacrosse ball. Now this one, first one is going to be very similar to what we talked about in episode 8, the T-spine smash, except this is going to be lower back smash with a foam roller. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna start right above the butt, okay, right above your waistline, and I'm gonna drop down to the side of my spine. Notice my hips are tilted at an angle. I'm not directly on my spine, but I'm to the side of it. And I'm gonna brace down, ribs locked in a parallel position above my hips. I'm gonna pick my hips up, and if you need to brace yourself on your arm, that's okay, but we're going to go up and down and do a little smashing, all right? A little pressure wave. If you go back to some of our first episodes, you'll know what that means. And we're just working from the ribs back to the hips and back down. And again, if you need to put your arm down for some support, if you have to let your butt down, that's fine. What we don't want to happen is we don't want to break into extension, okay? It's not the same as the breaking and extension techniques we did for the thoracic spine. I want to keep engaged because I want to protect the lower back, but I want those to create a broad surface where I can work the tissue in the lower back area. So we're going to work up and down and then both sides of the lower back. All right, and our fourth and final technique introduces us to the lacrosse ball. If you don't have one of these in your mobility bag, go get one. All right, this is a great tool and it's easy travel size to go ahead and work out knots in the body. Now, the last technique we just did, we did a pressure wave. We did north to south, up and down, going along the muscle fibers and grains of the muscles in the back. This time we're gonna smash side to side. So it's kind of like what we learned in episode 9 of T-spine mobility. We're going to stay in the same area we just worked, from the ribs down to the hips. And when we do this one, we still need to protect the lumbar. So we're gonna keep the midline engaged, but I'm gonna go ahead and put my legs up on the box. Okay? And what this is gonna do, it's gonna allow me to put more pressure down on my lacrosse ball. It's gonna help me keep a good stacked position so that I don't make the problem any worse. So I'm just gonna tilt over and position this ball right here. Anywhere in this area is fine, and the goal is to work this angle. So I'm in this position, and I can just go over and side to side and look for those knotted, matted down areas. If I find something really gnarly, just spend some time relaxing into that space. Remember to keep the core engaged, which will go ahead and create more space across the back for you to work on. Again, very intense with the lacrosse ball, okay? So this movement isn't gonna be for everybody, but it's definitely a great move to get into and check out, and maybe just do some recon and find out if you do have something going on down there that needs to be worked out. You may surprise yourself what kind of garbage you got going on in your lower back. So there you guys have it. 4 different tools that you can use to help fix low back pain. Now, with anything that you're doing, if it's so painful that you can't even get up and down, maybe you want to consult a doctor. You might have some serious nerve damage going on. You may have compromised something in your lower back. But when we're dealing with resetting some joints or working out some tissue damage or adhesions in the back, you've got your lacrosse ball, you've got your foam roller, you've got your SI joint and your pelvic correction stretches. And just remember, go back, review the thoracic spine mobility piece, continue to watch the series and see what we're doing for the hips and the bigger muscles of the lower body, and we'll get that lower back fixed for you. Until then, I want you to keep training hard, go out there, do a race, get dirty. I'll see you on the starting line. Aroo!